So the first quarterfinal of the Saturday is just around the corner, and we thought, why not try and do a little bit of a prediction of how we think this match will end up going. But throughout this preview, we'll be looking at the two sides' previous fixtures, key players to watch out for, and then also at the end, see if we can get close to who gets the victory. But with me today, I have got Tim from Rugbyitch. How are you doing, mate? You excited for this game? I see you got the Chiefs kit out. How's it going? You going well?
Yeah, it's all good, man. All good, man.
Good to hear. I'm sure you're excited. The Blues at this stage, when this video comes out, would have almost played in their game up against the Tars. A little bit of a sneaky prediction. Did they go all right?
I'm hoping they did. Hopefully no surprises there.
No. But looking through, this is another one of the New Zealand versus Australian games that are going to be taking place for the Super Rugby Pacific quarterfinals. And the intriguing part of this is the Reds are the only side that have beaten the Chiefs throughout this Super Rugby Pacific competition. Although looking at the last result for both sides, we do see that the Reds lost their game to the Fijian Drua, 41 points to 17. Chiefs, they managed to get themselves that big victory, 43 points to 19 over the Force. So do you think the Reds just around the corner from a comeback, or do you think the Chiefs going to continue that momentum that they created?
I don't know, because it's one of those like where I would like to think the Reds can pull off something here. But at the same time, because they've actually beaten the Chiefs, they're the only team to beat the Chiefs in Super Rugby, I also think the Chiefs will want a bit of revenge, particularly at in Hamilton as well. So it's one of those where I think it may be too much for them. But at the same time, you can never underestimate the Reds, because they always are. They're one of the few teams that can pull off a performance like this and get a win. So am I not mistaken in saying they're the only team this season to get a win within New Zealand? Is that correct?
Ooh.
I think
you might be onto something there, because that's the thing. It was considered as a Chiefs home game, but
exactly,
it wasn't really, because it was played in Taranaki, but it's still in New Zealand. So yeah, you might be right.
I think that's the only win we've had. Yeah, so I mean, they're definitely the team to do it. If it's going to happen, it has to be the Reds. So yeah, you can never doubt them in that sense. But I mean, like, from a player perspective, I think they have some decent players as well. So yeah, they'll be able to do the job.
Perfect transition to the next stage, which is key players for these two sides. Now, the Chiefs, they've got a pretty strong side that they've put out on the park. They've got Weber, McKenzie back as the 9-10 combo. Sean Stevenson been electric in that back line for the Chiefs as well. Couple good forwards, experience of Brodie Retallick. You had to nail it down to just one player for the Chiefs that you think is going to have the biggest impact. Who do you think it would be?
Well, I think what most people would actually say is David McKenzie. I think that's kind of like the strong answer. I think what most people would say, or even Sean Stevenson, because he's been probably the bolter, I'd say, of the season. I think he's probably, I mean, there's actually a lot of bolters this season. So maybe there's an argument in terms of like who's been the biggest one or who's made the biggest impression. But for me, actually, I think Brad Weber is actually the one who I'm actually looking at as probably a key player in terms of how they'll play, because they really play a lot of their footy through him. It really comes down towards how he kind of dictates the play in terms of getting it towards the backs quickly, kind of finding that inside gap in terms of kind of getting around the defense. So I think he's someone that you can definitely, in my opinion, can really change the game in that sense. And if he gets rolling early, then I think it's going to be quite over for the Reds. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But he's definitely the player I have in mind in terms of making an impact.
Okay, speaking of rolling, for mine, I think I'm going to go Samasoni Taukei'aho, mainly because he has been a tad quiet over a few of the recent games, but I feel like when he comes into his own and he also gets that little bit of space, he just runs over the top of people, doesn't he? And also that rolling maul of the Chiefs. I'd like to think that they will continue with that attacking style they have throughout the season, which is if they get the penalty, go for the corner, even though in some cases in finals rugby, normally sides will take the 3. I think the Chiefs might do that for a start, have McKenzie do a couple early smiles, and then they'll start to put it down towards 5 meters, really try and get that maul going. And I think Taukei'aho is going to be important for that. The line-out throws, we've seen how much that can drastically change a team in terms of their momentum. But there's a fun fact with the Reds, which is actually, I believe they have the second most tries scored starting from lineouts, only following the Brumbies, which is a bit of an interesting stat that I saw. So you'd think someone like a Matt Faisler for them would be pretty important. But I'm saying Fraser McWright and Harry Wilson as their key players, those two in the loose forward trio. McWright, he can be a real nuisance in the breakdown, but he seems to sometimes get it right. which is good news for his side. When he doesn't, not so good news. And Harry Wilson, that man will run the ball hard every day of the week.
Oh, he's incredible.
And he's definitely going to be a danger if he gets any sort of open space. That's where someone like a Jacobson for the Chiefs will really have to come into his own, try and shut the man down early. But what about yourself? Who's your key in the red side?
Well, for me, it's actually going to be the opposing player to Brad Weber. It's actually going to be Tate McDermott. I think he's the guy who kind of dictates the play as well for the Reds. And they have a kind of similar system with the Chiefs where they play a lot through the scrum half. That's kind of like the way I see it. Like, I think there's only like a few teams, I'd say, in Super Rugby who really play through the scrum half a lot. I mean, the Highlanders are probably known for it the best, obviously, with, Aaron Smith and Fla Fakatava. But I think the Reds, out of all the Australian sides, I think they're probably the one I would say go through the scrum half the most, actually. I think Tim McDermott is really a big part to play in that. And again, similar to Brad Weber, if he's able to just, have a good game, transition the ball quickly out, find spaces, find gaps and find just pockets in the Chiefs' defense, then yeah, it could be we could be onto something here for the Reds. So I think he's going to be a key player in this game.
Righty, so now we are up to that stage of the dreaded score prediction. Now, I don't know whether or not you know my history with predictions, but normally they're not close. They're normally about as opposite as they can be. So choose wisely. There's a bit of a curse going on the channel at the moment. For the predictions, I'll let you go first, just to set the bar.
Understand. Well, I think it's wrong not to say the Chiefs will. If I don't say the Chiefs win this, I just think it's a bit weird because they've been the best team in Super Rugby. So I feel like I have to go with them. But there's something in the back of my mind saying like, oh, the Reds could do it. You never know. But no, I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs. I think just go the smart, the safe kind of prediction in this. So I will say the Chiefs will win. I'll say they'll win this game. I'm not going to say comfortably because I think it will be a tough game. I think the Reds will put up a challenge. So I'm going to say a scoreline of I'll say 27 points to, I'd say 17. I'll say it's 27 points to 17. So maybe like a 10-point gap between these two sides.
Interesting. Now, my prediction's actually very similar. Okay. I was going to say the Chiefs as well. I feel like they would have learned a lot from that last game up against the Reds. And I actually said it about the Chiefs. I said if they go into the playoff games undefeated, I worried for them in that quarterfinal because when you haven't tasted defeat, you don't really see it coming.
Exactly.
And for the Chiefs now, they've seen it coming for the Reds because they did lose them. Yeah, that makes it just that little bit more intriguing, doesn't it? The fact that they did actually lose in the regular season. The thing is, though, the Reds are on a 3-match losing streak at this current point in time going into this quarterfinal.
Yeah.
They lost to the Blues, which I'm sure you were happy about. They lost to the Highlanders. And they also lost to the Fijian draw last week, not just by a couple points. It was quite a significant margin.
So does that mean that their last win was against the Chiefs?
It was.
Whoa, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that adds even more into this contest, you could say. But, for me, score prediction-wise, I was thinking a 25-15. But then I also have a feeling we could see an angry Chiefs side here. And with the form that the Reds have been in, maybe we even see them get into that 40-point region on the board.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they win it by either 10 or 25. That's my prediction.
Oh, okay. Okay, 10 or 25. Interesting. Okay.
Nonetheless, I guess do let us know your score predictions in the comments down below, who you think will be winning this contest, your key players to watch out for. We are going to be doing the commentary on this channel. Are you doing commentary on yours as well?
I believe so. I'll cover all the games. But
yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. Be sure to check out Rugbyitch over on his channel. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you all for the next one.